Here to talk about incident management and using AI in your incident management processes and how they can help you do that. Okay? So I'm Aaron Steele. I'm our Microsoft practice lead at a company called Softel. Here at Softel, we can help you with everything from contact center, unified communications, AI, Copilot adoption, as well as we have apps around capabilities to do things such as helping your users and helping your team deploy emergency calling and managing that E911 calling service to ensure that all the calls get routed correctly. So, thank you to all of our sponsors here for the CommsV Next conference. Make sure you visit their booths and take care of them like they take care of you. So, I do want to make this a fair bit interactive, so if you've got questions, please raise your hand, ask. If you have something you'd like me to cover or talk about, or something that I don't explain well, please do ask. It's fairly basic. Me, a little bit of the why, a little bit of the how. We'll cover some, sponsors again, and then a Q&A if anybody has any at the end. Hi, I'm Aaron. So, I also go by AA Ron. What I use when I go to the coffee shop so that people don't write my name as E-R-I-N. Married, 48, got 2 great kids. I do take long walks by the beach because I live by the beach. I live in Traverse City, Michigan, and I walk my standard poodle there 3 to 5 miles a day, every morning, on the regular, rain, shine, snow, sleet, hail, whatever. And I have the broken collarbone to show for it. My wife owns a little pastry shop. I say little. She does 3 to 5 weddings a weekend over the summer. Those weddings range from the price of $100 to a couple of thousand. Some people say she's the breadwinner. No, I'm the bread maker. And I like coffee. I say that with 2 pieces of data in context. 1, we Softel sponsored the coffee cart. 2, I worked with a local roaster up in Traverse to get some bags of coffee sent here for all of you to enjoy. That's how much I like coffee. So, getting into incident management. We'll talk a little bit about the regular world of incident management processes. I come from a world of an ITIL management background. Incident management is something I'm very familiar with. Out on LinkedIn, you can find a presentation and a document from one of the members of the Microsoft ecosphere, a guy named Shay Meehan, talks about using Teams for incident management. And these are a couple of screenshots from Microsoft, from his presentation and Microsoft's strategy for using Teams for incident management. In general, how Microsoft thinks about this and how it works and how they've evolved it to work well in the world of Teams is a structure such as this, such as you effectively have a set of teams for your major incident management. You have channels by team, and channels by team and by severity. Because within the world of Teams versus the world of Slack is a very flat architecture that uses hashtags to allow people to filter. Teams is a structured and ordered architecture with those sub-channels as the way to organize versus the hashtags. So living in this world of Teams, it's about having those places for people to have those interactions, have those meetings, and by segmenting them, you allow for the lack of the need of that hopping, right? the hopping, where if you're managing two major incidents in the same channel, you get this thing of every reply as somebody is watching on their desktop just comes to the top or the bottom, even if it's not the incident they're managing. So you try to work through that with these other processes by doing things such as separating out things such as your post-mortem processes, separating out things such as your Q&A, process questions, to ensure that the conversations that are happening in the incident channel are pertinent to resolving an incident. Because what we know about incident management is it is all about MTTR, mean time to resolution. That is the objective of an incident team at its core. Everything else is somewhat ancillary. That's where we can bring in AI. Right? Is that ancillary? I'm not saying bring in AI to replace your incident team who is physically actually fixing the bug. I'm saying bring in AI, bring in an agent to do the things that an incident manager often forgets to do. Right? If you've got a large setup in an organization, it may be the fact that you simply can't manage in one major incident. You may need multiples of those depending on your scale and the types of incidents. So, live site being super important. There's something major going on independent of a major incident. But again, think about this in your structure. If you're going to go down this road, it provides a lot of benefits, in fact, to manage them in teams, because you get that archivability, you get that traceability, you get that body of knowledge that can be there, and you get all the interactions for this with dial-in conferencing, with those capabilities that Teams gives you of Teams apps, tabs, right? So there's a lot of power to doing this in Teams without even bringing in a bot to do those things for you. The key to this is, at a large sense, working incidents in Teams is about adopting the mindset of working in the open. Right? The only time you wouldn't work in the open is if it is a privacy-related incident. Got something that has privacy, you have a special channel or a private channel in which you create to do that process. But otherwise, if it's just regular service down, not somebody's credit card, not an inappropriate image, not something like that, just work on the regular channel so that everybody can see those things. And if part of what this helps, truly what this helps, is it stops your executives from seagulling. Right? Because they can come in and truly just see how the incident is progressing in the chat, in the interaction, in the transcript, in the regular updates that are being posted. They don't have to come in and crap on everything people are actually working. So, a little bit more about this. General channel, work group, operations center. It's details for you to review if you want to go down this road. It's a little bit about the whys, the whats, the hows, and the whos. Okay? I don't need to read this to you. You're all big people. You can read for yourself. A lot about incident management, if you really look at it at its core, is about providing the people working the incident all the information they need to process it. Right? They're smart people. They're doing what they need to do. If you don't give them the information, they can't solve it as quickly. So provide that information to them. Make sure they have process and Q&A. Make sure they have those things. Make sure you do proper postmortems. Put those postmortems in a postmortem channel. Right? So They don't muck up your incident management process, but they have to happen. Back to basic ITIL processes. Get your ITIL in order, and you can work these things and have everybody have a better day. A little bit more. That bottom one really lands. If you were in Patrick Kelly's presentation yesterday, he talked about basically the peanut butter and chocolate mix that is Teams and Zoom. If you are a company who relies on Zoom or Teams, and you want to manage your incidents, make sure you've got that WebEx or that Zoom or that Teams or that 8x8 or that whatever dial-in bridge that sits out there and is available for when everything else is. Right? Even if you've gone all in on Teams, have that other thing there. Dial in and page out. Make sure those capabilities are there, that you've got conferencing set up, that you've got those capabilities, that you can bring those people in. Make sure your people understand what their duties are. Right? Because if your on-call engineer doesn't have their phone that has their Teams app on it with them while they're on call, why did we even let you have it? So, why AI? The buzzwords annoy me about AI just as much as they annoy everybody else. What you want to do is build or have a bot that can do things such as figure out the how and how to route so that your people can remediate. Right? And again, using an AI to foster communication, foster collaboration. Let the people interact. Don't make the bot interact. These are my basic tenets of how AI should interact in these processes. Let the AI handle the mundane and the repetitive. Let the humans be the interesting and interactive. Right? And always be iterating and improving. Don't let things go stagnant. Don't forget that you can always make these things better. Learn from past mistakes, learn from challenges. Again, back to the ITIL world. Process your data in those postmortems. Make sure you ask the 5 whys. And in that case, it really is. You're asking why 5 times until you get to the root of what actually caused the problem. Because it probably wasn't a bad code check-in. It was probably a lack of a unit test, or a lack of a peer review, or a lack of good coding practices. It wasn't the actual code check-in that caused that problem. Right? So, how? You have decisions about this. Did you make or buy it? Could you even use one? Is your incident management process such that using one doesn't provide any value? I'd argue in most cases that it can't. But it's a good question to ask. Understand those scenarios of what does it mean to build it? What tasks can I make it perform? Right? What ways can it assist me? Oh, but here's the sticky one. Who's going to own that bot now that I've built it and deployed it? Just because I was the guy who went out and wrote it doesn't mean I'm the right operational person to deploy it and run it. Juan talked about this yesterday. It's very different to pilot something and to build something than it is to roll it into production and have those processes out there. Okay? You built it, you deployed it. You're responsible for updating it. Does it need updates? Again, hey, I said iterate and improve. That means you should always be trying to improve that thing So now, whose job is that to improve it? Big one, who supports it? If the app goes down, if the bot goes down, if the interaction goes down, if it has a problem, if it bugs out, if it gives a wrong answer, if somebody doesn't realize they're talking to an AI and gets some weird piece of information out of it, how do you support that? Is there some unique business case for me that nobody else has thought of that makes me need to build this for myself? And what is the return on investment is the final. It's really taking a step back and thinking about how much my people cost if they build it. What's the return I'm going to get on their effort? That first one's the big one. You bought something from somebody, you just paid how much, and it was for incident management, and you're going to get that through finance? To make me laugh. If I bought one from somebody, can it do everything I need it to do? I bought it. Are they going to provide updates? Or will I? Just because I bought it, do I get the code, as it were? And am I able to own that? Right? So, I'm going to jump into Copilot Studio. I've got a bot built. I'll walk you through the process of building that bot, what the capabilities are. Again, I want this to be a brainstorm for you about doing this for yourself. Thinking really about giving that bot, that capability, actions that are appropriate for a bot. Okay for the bot to put data somewhere. It's not okay for the bot to make a decision. Right? So as you think about this and as you go forward in your journey to build these, I want you to have a foundation for a scenario that I think is really good for building a bot to handle. So, one second, I want to get rid of that bar. Why is my full screen not there? Function. Yeah. Anyway, I'll walk through this. So, this is my incident management bot that I created. Sorry, wrong page. There. Yeah. That's better. Okay. Should I zoom in a little? I built this bot in Copilot Studio using natural language. I know incident management processes. I didn't have to code any. But you have to know the processes, understand what to prompt the bot to do, or the bot creation. If you are not an ITIL person, if you are not well versed in that world of incident management, you probably won't have the vernacular and the context by which to set up, configure, and do this. Right? I wanted specifically tool that reads chat in meetings. It can follow up with tagged individuals in those meetings. It can interact with and reference both company documents as well as internet sources of authority for its process management tools. Wanted it to be able to read and understand an escalation tree in the company. Again, based for ITIL process, how to escalate. It should also do things such as prompting an incident coordinator or an incident manager when things are needed. The general instructions that I've given it are here. I do want it to act autonomously in terms of if it's been added into a meeting, it should start taking those actions. I don't want to have to prompt it that something happened. It should read the context in the chat and ask any gaps it has. And it does. I defined a set of severities so that it knows for certain types of severities, interact in these ways. You can build in capabilities. I'll walk through this. Or interacting with ServiceNow. You can put your content from this uploads into SharePoint. You can have your bot create a Teams meeting, have it create a Zoom meeting or a WebEx meeting. Just because you're using Copilot, because you're using the Microsoft services to do this, it doesn't mean that's where your content has to live. I want to make sure that it should do these capabilities. Okay. I've got it pointed at the regular ITIL incident management process. Yes? So yes, you can connect it to many other things. You can publish it effectively there. And so if I add in here on my actions, see here I have a ServiceNow Get knowledge base. I can add an action, and there's a number of other interactions that are available in the overall library. Oh, sorry, they were there. Right, you have it do everything from get service records, but these are the interactions. Again, it's a bot that's sitting out there that somebody can interact with, and it can take all these types of actions on ServiceNow data. Yep, but yeah, it can do lots of things, and then it can use their ServiceNow IA coordinator. Yes. So if you are following an incident management process, as I've described, even in a scenario of everything is going on in a meeting with audio, the general process is the chat is where the progress is being made, even in the interaction. And thereby the bot is effectively reading that chat to manage process and manage those interactions. Right? It's using the context clues of what's the current severity of the issue. When was the most recent update given? If there wasn't, it'll prompt the user or the person interacting with it, hey, this was a SEVE incident when you generated it. It's been 15 minutes since your last update. I need an update. Those kinds of interactions. It's trying to remind the incident manager of the jobs they have to do and helping them to do those jobs. Okay. Oh, and I've got headsets and a piece of chocolate from my wife's shop. Okay. Oh, keep the questions coming. Yeah. Yeah. So there are a number of actions you can add to integrate with those services like PagerDuty. Yes. Yes, so I can add these bots to integrate. If I got a PagerDuty service, drop it in here, look them up by a user ID based on some correlation that I've got in a SharePoint table, and page out. Again, the library of tools available to you in terms of interactions that people have created for your bots to be able to take actions is pretty broad, pretty wide, pretty vast. So I've got a basic set here. I haven't added triggers. Triggers are a little more advanced. So when you think about triggers in the bot framework, you start needing to add interactions and skills and capabilities that require a little more coding, right? They aren't the kinds of things that you tend to just do with the Copilot Studio to create them. But they are, at some level, the power. If you want to make this bot be able to spin up an incident when you get a notice in ServiceNow of an outage, that would be a trigger. You could make this bot be the initiator of the chat for that communication. Right? Read a trigger from ServiceNow, take an action, create a chat in a specific channel, tag the incident manager based on the ticket information from ServiceNow as the person to do incident manager and the on-call engineer. Right? And it could then go and create that incident for you. Get these topics in here. They're the basic topics. I can add a topic from a description in Copilot. Right? So I can create a topic for how to escalate. I can create a topic for how to close an incident, how to change it, how to interact with it. A number of other capabilities. There's a set of system topics. These are simply the when things are happening. And because I created this with the context of incident management, it goes down the road of understanding how to escalate. Right? It took that context from me. Knowledge here is really important. When you're building these tools, when you're building these capabilities, thinking about your knowledge not as one vast body of knowledge, but do point it at individual sources. I don't want to point it at my entire KV knowledge base, but if it's going to be looking at specific topics for me, I'll point it at the topics in my knowledge base specific to that. It will get you better results out of the system by doing that because you get these discrete points of data. Pointing it at vast corpi gets you into problems. Copilot Studio here is really powerful in this as well, because as you're operating this bot, you see efficiency scores for those knowledge bases. You see how many times certain knowledge bases can get, when they've been used, how they're looking. Are they giving lots of errors? You have a knowledge base out there that's kicking out lots of errors for you. And adding knowledge is fairly simple, right? And a knowledge base from SharePoint, you can upload files, you can do things from Dataverse. Got your data, it's very possible you can do that in a Dataverse. But then, who has their knowledge base? I don't think very many people do today, but it's that idea of taking that entire body of data we've got and putting it massive, unstructured, unrecognizable data store that is a Dataverse or a data lake. Yes. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. So when you're adding a knowledge or a piece of data from SharePoint or even an action to write to SharePoint, you effectively authenticate to SharePoint with your own account, but all you're doing in that authentication is ensuring that the bot knows where SharePoint is. When a user takes an action with the bot, they authenticate to SharePoint and do that action on their own. Yes. Mm-hmm. It would surface it, but it wouldn't change the permission. Yeah, so it would bring a link back or bring the content into that, but it wouldn't, unless you tell it. No, a workaround for this: tell the bot to download it from the SharePoint and put it into the Teams meeting. Then everybody in the Teams meeting gets permission, right? But yeah, when you look here at the create file interaction in SharePoint, in fact, on that, the end user authenticates, right? All I'm doing in the authentication to Teams or SharePoint is effectively ensuring that the bot knows which tenant I'm in, right? It's not actually using my account to do any of that work. Now, I could make the Copilot bot be the authentication source for this, right? So that it is what's doing those actions. Yes. Yeah. If you're changing, so again, it depends a little on the type of interaction you're doing, but in the world of create a SharePoint file, your default, is user authentication. So it's going to be, even if I told the bot, hey, upload this file, the user is going to be the one taking that action. Yes. Generally, no. Generally, if the bot has access to it, it won't use those permissions. It will not. It likely would, yes. Yep. This is why you have to be very careful about giving your bots access to confidential and restricted information. Okay? Once you've done that, if you've given them high confidentiality restricted information, how are they going to know who should be able to see that? And are they interacting? I've ingested it. Exactly. Exactly. I've ingested it as the bot, and it's my body of knowledge. Just because you're interacting with me, I don't know that my body of knowledge is out of bounds to you. Right? Yes. 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 Generally, you would see the bot as being listed there. Yeah. I really do think the process idea that you have, actions are the place that you can have the most. Right? Think about this across There have been a number of sessions here that are about, actually, there's a session later today, mapping out your incident management process and flow, finding the places you think a bot can interact, you think a bot can do work, build those actions. Right? You've got a process, again, it uses PagerDuty. That's your escalation source. PagerDuty. You do all your stuff in Teams, SharePoint. You do all your stuff in Zoom. Okay. It's not about dictating a tool. It's about improving the process. I believe so. It's rare that I go here and find something that it hasn't been able to do. Here, for the Slack question, which headset would you like? You need a headset or a chocolate? Okay. The earbuds? Yep. And if we at Softel can help you with any of this stuff, you can scan us. Let's see. 1 second. Let's see. What else did I put in my presentation? Demo. Hey, actions are important. Understand the process flow. Short, actionable pieces of information, not repositories. I knew I wasn't going to take the full 45. Happy to chat. I've left some resources in the presentation for everybody here. There is a corollary here that I want to share before we leave. I talk about this around IT incident management. The change to doing this for real world incidents is true. The one challenge you're going to have in changing this to handle things like an emergency operations center for a fire department or a police department. AI bots don't like talking about human harm. Those keywords are going to be keywords that the bots won't interact with. You've got those scenarios. Your incidents, it's going to be a challenge today to bring any of the public AI bots into those. Because if you key in the word murder, the bot stops replying. Right? So yes, from a compliance management process, yes, you can have those processes, you can build those in. Those aren't very different from IT incident management, right? A compliance management process. Again, with compliance management or anything related to financial data, you want to be very careful about managing those with a bot, because what are you going to give it having as its data source or repository? What is it going to do for you? Because those things have more sensitive nature. Would you like a headset? Which one? The very light one or the one on the stand? Yep. Who needs chocolate? You got some. So I will describe the chocolate. This is called a Luna cake. It is 2 layers of devil's food cake. A layer of vanilla buttercream, all dipped in dark chocolate. Okay, last ANC headset. Give me your great question. Yes. 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 So it has knowledge of time and can track time. So as you're going through your incident management process, as if you've got an SLA or you've got an ITIL process that says SEV-As need updates every 15 minutes, and you plugged in a trigger that it needs to either prompt, take action, read, summarize, do whatever, it will do that every 15 minutes. Inherently in the bot. I told it, here's the severities, here's what I need you to interact with. I go over here and I test it, and I tell it there's an incident, and it says, hey, what's the severity? What's the cause? What's these things? Yeah. Yep. Yep. Govern it. Yes. So using conversational AI and conversational methods is a good starting point. Then you see how it behaves. Iterate and improve. You see how it behaves. You start adding in those places where you trust it to take action. Read a file. Get a database entry. Get a thing. Have it start tagging people on incidents. Have it take those actions, page out to somebody. Have it post in a channel. Start to build out I don't think of it so much as decision trees. I think of it as capabilities I'm giving the bot. Yes. Yep. Yep. You really think about how far do I want to take this? Right? Yes, Nida. Yep. Totally. Thankfully, that's part of the power of tracking that Microsoft has given you in this bot. Right? You have the knowledge tracker that can really give you that feedback as people are using this for their processes. Did I give it a data repository? Did I give it a big list of data that nobody's ever referencing? That's there. If I gave it a process in Q&A and nobody ever sees that, it doesn't show up for them, why is it even there? Yeah, yeah. So, yep. Yes. Exactly. Giving the bot the ability to summarize the actions taken to resolve the incident, to give a timeline, adding in the ability for the bot to take the body of this given incident and just timestamp it so you can use it in your postmortem process. Great. Take that action when I say close, summarize everything, give me timestamps for when everything happened, and then upload that into my incident repository, tagged with this thing, right? It's a really nice use case for extending this. Again, use this as your idea for how you can do it, and if you want us at Softel to help you do it, reach. With that, no other questions. I thank you for your time.